Toys R Us, the death of a dream. How a $13 billion empire was toyed away. It is 1997. You are 8 years old. Your mother pulls into the parking lot and you see it before she even turns off the engine. That giant sign. Red letters. A backwards R. And Jeffrey the giraffe smiling down at you like he has been waiting all week just for you. The automatic doors slide open and the smell hits you first. Plastic and cardboard impossibility. Aisles taller than your father. Action figures still in their boxes. Bikes hanging from the ceiling. A wall of video games that stretches further than you can see. You are not in a store. You are in a kingdom. That kingdom is gone now. Every single store. Every Jeffrey sign. Every backwards are gone. And what killed it was not a recession. Not a bad product. Not a generation that stopped loving toys. What killed Toys R Us was a decision made in a boardroom in 2005 by men who had never once in their lives cared about a single child. This is the true story of how the greatest toy empire in history was handed to its enemies, loaded with debt it could never survive, and left to die slowly while the men who destroyed it walked away with hundreds of millions. Chapter 1: The Man Who Invented the Toy Store. Before Toys R Us, there was no such thing as a toy superstore. That sentence sounds impossible in 2024. But in 1948, if you wanted to buy a toy, you went to a department store. Toys were in one small corner between housewares and women's clothing. The selection was thin. The prices were high. Nobody was thinking bigger because nobody had yet. Charles Lazarus was 25 years old when he opened a baby furniture store in Washington, D.C. in 1948. His father had run a bicycle repair shop. Charles had grown up watching his father fix things for people who could barely afford to pay him. He understood one thing from childhood that most businessmen never learn. You do not build a business around a product. You build it around a customer's need. And in 1948 in post-war America, the need was obvious. Soldiers were coming home. Babies were being born by the millions. Those babies needed furniture. Charles sold furniture. But he noticed something. The parents who came in for cribs kept asking him, "Do you have any toys?" He started carrying toys. Within 3 years, the toys were outselling the furniture. By 1957, he had dropped the furniture entirely and opened the first store dedicated exclusively to toys. He called it Children's Supermart. The concept was radical for its time. No small corner. No limited selection. An entire warehouse of nothing but toys, priced lower than any department store because Lazarus bought in massive volume directly from manufacturers. Parents drove from 3 counties away. In 1966, he sold the business to Interstate Stores and became their director of toy operations. In 1978, the company went public under a new name, Toys R Us. The backwards was not an accident. It was a message. This store sees the world the way a child sees it. Different. Magical. Reversed. By 1985, there were 233 stores across America. By 1990, Toys R Us was the largest toy retailer on the planet. Not just in America. The planet. $13 billion in annual revenue. Stores in 45 countries. Jeffrey the giraffe was more recognizable to American children than most politicians. Hasbro and Mattel did not just sell to Toys R Us. They designed entire product lines around what Toys R Us would carry. The store had so much purchasing power that it could walk into a manufacturer and say, "We will take 2 million units, but only if we get 6 months of exclusivity." Manufacturers said yes. Every time. Black Friday lines at Toys R Us stretched around buildings. Parents camped overnight. Fistfights broke out over Cabbage Patch Kids. Over Power Rangers. Over Tickle Me Elmo. This was not retail. This was a cultural institution. And then came the internet.
The potential for this new network is limitless.
Chapter 2, the decision that started everything. The year is 1999. The dot-com boom is at its peak. Every business in America is terrified of being left behind. Pets.com is raising millions. Webvan is promising to replace grocery stores. Everyone with a website and a dream is becoming a millionaire on paper. Toys R Us looks at this landscape and makes a decision. We need to sell toys online. They build ToysRUs.com. They spend heavily. They advertise. The 1999 holiday season arrives and ToysRUs.com is flooded with orders. And then they fail to deliver them. Thousands of orders placed before Christmas do not arrive until January. Some never arrive at all. The Federal Trade Commission investigates. Toys R Us pays $350,000 in fines. More importantly, they have told an entire generation of online shoppers one thing: do not trust us. In 2000, desperate to fix their online operation without building the infrastructure themselves, Toys R Us makes the single worst business decision in retail history. They sign a contract with Amazon. The deal seems logical at the time. Amazon has the warehouse infrastructure. Amazon has the customer base. Amazon knows how to ship things. Toys R Us will let Amazon handle the online side while they focus on the stores. The contract gives Amazon the right to be the exclusive seller of Toys R Us products online. What Toys R Us does not fully understand is what they have just handed over. Data. Every search. Every purchase. Every toy that American parents are buying for their children. Amazon now owns that information. And Amazon is not just a shipping company. Amazon is a retailer that studies its own data and uses it to compete directly with the people selling on its platform. Within 2 years, Amazon is using the data from Toys R Us sales to identify the best-selling toy categories and invite competing toy sellers onto its platform. The exclusive contract means nothing because Amazon's lawyers have written it in a way that protects Amazon. Toys R Us sues Amazon in 2004. They win. The contract is terminated. But it is already too late. Amazon has spent 4 years learning the toy market from the inside. The damage is done. And now Toys R Us is back on its own, with a damaged online reputation, a broken digital infrastructure, and a new enemy that knows everything about their customers. They need capital to rebuild. They need to invest in technology. They need to modernize. Instead, they get private equity. Chapter 3: The Men Who Came with Briefcases. In 2005, 3 firms walk into Toys R Us. KKR, Bain Capital, Vornado Realty Trust. These are not toy people. They are not retail people. They are not people who have any particular feeling about Jeffrey the Giraffe or the backwards R or the smell of plastic and cardboard impossibility. They are money people. And the deal they propose is called a leveraged buyout. Here is how a leveraged buyout works. You want to buy a company worth $6.6 billion, but you do not want to spend $6.6 billion of your own money. So you borrow most of it. Then you complete the purchase and transfer the debt onto the company you just bought. The company now owes the money you borrowed to buy it. Toys R Us goes into this deal carrying $5 billion in debt. $5 billion. Every year from that point forward, Toys R Us must pay approximately $400 million in interest alone before it spends a single dollar on stores, staff, inventory, or technology. For comparison, Amazon in 2005 is investing hundreds of millions of dollars every year in technology, warehousing, and customer experience. Amazon is getting faster and cheaper and better every single year.
But we need to ensure backwards compatibility.
Toys R Us is paying $400 million a year just to stand still. The private equity firms are not worried about this. Their business model does not require the company to thrive. It requires the company to generate enough cash flow to service the debt while the firms extract management fees, advisory fees, and dividends. When and if the company eventually collapses, the firms have already made their money. KKR, Bain, and Vornado collected over $200 million in fees from Toys R Us between 2005 and 2017. While the stores rotted. Walk into a Toys R Us in 2008 and then walk into a Target. The difference is immediate. Target has renovated. Target has wider aisles, better lighting, cleaner displays, a children's section that feels designed for the 21st century. Walmart has done the same. Toys R Us looks exactly like it did in 1992.
It's lovely.
The carpet is worn. The shelving is old. The checkout systems are outdated. There is no app. There is no loyalty program worth using. The website still has not recovered from the Amazon disaster. The company's technology budget for 2007 is $130 million. Amazon's technology budget that same year is $818 million. The race is already over. The executives inside Toys R Us know it. They write internal memos saying the company must invest in technology or it will not survive. Those memos go to the board. The board looks at the debt payments and says there is no money. There is never any money. Because the money is going to KKR and Bain and Vornado. The slow death. By 2013, the situation is critical. Online toy sales are growing at 15% per year. Amazon now has a toy section that rivals the selection of any physical store in the world. Prime shipping means a toy ordered Tuesday arrives Thursday. No parking lot. No checkout line. No screaming children in the next aisle. Toys R Us attempts a digital transformation. They hire new executives. They announce plans. They launch initiatives. None of it works because you cannot transform a company that is paying $400 million a year in debt service. Every dollar spent on digital is a dollar that has to be borrowed. And borrowing costs more money. Which means more debt. Which means higher payments. The spiral only goes one direction. Store count begins to decline. The company closes its weakest locations. Then more locations. Suppliers start getting nervous. Hasbro and Mattel are watching their biggest customers slowly disappear. They start allocating more inventory to Walmart and Target and Amazon, which means Toys R Us shelves start looking thinner, which means parents stop going, which means revenue falls further. By 2017, Toys R Us is spending 97 cents of every dollar it earns just on operating costs and debt payments. There is nothing left. No margin for error. No buffer against a bad quarter. In September 2017, Toys R Us files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The announcement is everywhere. People post childhood photographs outside the stores. Parents write about taking their own children to the same locations where their parents had taken them. The backwards becomes a symbol of something lost. The company announces the bankruptcy is a restructuring. They will emerge leaner and stronger. They are not going away. 14 months later, they are gone. The holiday season of 2017 is the beginning of the end. Suppliers who are owed money stop shipping on credit. Shelves go empty at the worst possible time of year. Parents go to Toys R Us and find gaps where toys should be. They go to Amazon instead. Or Walmart. Or Target. January 2018. March 2018. The company is hemorrhaging cash. In March 2018, Toys R Us announces it will close or sell all 735 of its American stores. 33,000 employees lose their jobs. Most of them receive no severance. The private equity firms that loaded the company with debt, that collected $200 million in fees while the stores deteriorated, face no consequences. KKR's managing partners keep their bonuses. Bain Capital's partners keep their carried interest. Vornado moves on to the next deal. The liquidation begins. The stripping of the kingdom. If the bankruptcy was a death, the liquidation was something worse. Liquidation companies come in and their job is simple. Extract maximum value from the corpse in minimum time. Discounts appear in the windows. 10% off. Then 20%. Then 40%. People who had not been inside a Toys R Us in years come in to pick through the remains. They photograph the empty shelves. The bare walls where posters used to hang. The Jeffrey the Giraffe cutout still smiling at the end of aisles full of nothing. The fixtures are sold. The shelving goes. The signs come down. In some stores, the liquidators sell the shelving units themselves to customers who want a piece of the memory. By June 2018, it is over. The kingdom is empty. The malls that house Toys R Us locations are left with massive vacant boxes. Dead anchors. Mall operators who had built their foot traffic models around Toys R Us find themselves with thousands of square meters of empty space and no obvious tenants. Some of those spaces are still empty today. Others became Amazon fulfillment centers. The irony is not subtle. What the numbers actually say. Here is what the private equity firms and the financial press will never tell you directly. Toys R Us did not die because children stopped playing with toys. Global toy sales in 2018, the year the last Toys R Us store closed, were $90 billion. The toy industry was not shrinking. It was growing. Toys R Us did not die because it had a bad product or a bad location strategy or a bad brand. In 2017, The year it filed for bankruptcy, surveys showed that Toys R Us still had higher brand recognition and brand affection among American parents than almost any retailer in the country. Toys R Us died because it was carrying $5 billion in debt that it took on not to invest in itself but to pay for its own acquisition. It died because the men who bought it in 2005 were not interested in building a great toy company. They were interested in extracting fees and interest payments from a cash-generating machine until the machine broke. It died because when it needed $300 million to invest in technology and compete with Amazon, it was paying $400 million a year just in interest. Edward Hopkins, a store manager in New Jersey who had worked for Toys R Us for 22 years, told a journalist in 2018, "I watched us fall behind every year, and every year I heard that there was no money to fix it. Now I know where the money was going." He received no severance when his store closed. The three private equity firms received their fees until the very end. The ghost in the mall. Walk through an American mall today and you will find them. The spaces are too big for normal retail. The floors still have the slight indentation where the heavy shelving units stood for decades. Some landlords have painted over the walls, but if you look carefully you can still see the outline where the signs were mounted. These are the graves of the kingdom. Walmart and Target divided the inheritance. Between them they now control the majority of physical toy retail in America. Amazon controls the rest. Geoffrey the Giraffe appeared briefly in 2019 when a new ownership group attempted to relaunch the brand with smaller experiential stores. The pandemic ended that attempt before it could prove anything. The brand was sold again. There are currently a handful of Toys R Us shops inside Macy's department stores. Small. Curated. A shadow. Children walk past them without stopping. What this means for you right now. Charles Mitchell told Americans in 1929 that everyone should be an investor. He was not wrong about the idea. He was wrong about the system he built around it. The men who bought Toys R Us in 2005 were not wrong to see value in the brand. They were catastrophically wrong about what that value meant and who it belonged to. Here is what the Toys R Us story teaches anyone who is paying attention. Debt is not just a number on a balance sheet. Debt is a claim on the future. When a company takes on $5 billion in debt, it is not borrowing against what it has today. It is borrowing against everything it might become. Every dollar of future innovation. Every dollar of future investment. Every dollar of future adaptation. The private equity model as it was applied to Toys R Us did not create value. It extracted value that already existed and left nothing behind. 33,000 workers with no severance. Thousands of mall spaces still empty. A generation of children who will never know what it felt like to walk through those automatic doors on a Saturday morning. The men who made those decisions are fine. They are always fine. Today, right now, there are companies being loaded with debt in exactly the same way. Retail chains, restaurant groups, media companies. The names will be different. The mechanism is identical. The question is not whether it will happen again. The question is whether you will recognize it when it does. Subscribe. Because the next story is already happening.